Indigo here, and welcome back to Walter's World. Today we're diving into the 3 places I will never travel to. These aren't necessarily bad destinations, they're just places that don't spark my wanderlust, you know? So buckle up, because we're about to get real honest about the spots on the map that make me say, nah, I'm good. Get ready for some travel controversy, because you never know. My no-go list might just surprise you. Stick around to the end and let me know in the comments if you agree with my picks, and what destinations would be on your list of places you'd never travel to. Alright, kicking off my list at number 1 is a destination that might surprise some of you. Drumroll please. It's insert place 1. It's not that I think place 1 is a bad place, it's just not for me. There are a few reasons why I feel this way, and I'll break them down for you. For starters, explain a reason you wouldn't want to go to place 1. The sheer number of tourists can be overwhelming. I'm all about immersing myself in different cultures and experiencing new things. But expand on the reason and how it impacts you as a traveler. Be specific. The language barrier can be a significant challenge, making it hard to connect with locals and truly understand the culture. For example, I'm not a fan of hot and humid weather. The climate can really affect my overall experience. I'm the type of person who breaks a sweat just thinking about stepping outside when it's above 80 degrees. It's not just uncomfortable, it can be downright exhausting. I'm more of a mountains and cool breeze kind of guy. I love the feeling of crisp, fresh air and the serenity that comes with it. And then there's another reason you wouldn't want to visit this destination. Again, be specific. The food scene, which is a big part of travel for many people, just doesn't appeal to me. For example, and then there's the food. The local cuisine can be quite exotic and unfamiliar. Look, I'm always down to try new cuisines, but I'm a picky eater at heart. I have my comfort foods, and stepping too far out of that zone can be daunting. I like what I like, and I'm not afraid to admit it. There's something comforting about familiar flavors and dishes, and from what I've heard, the local delicacies in Place 1 are a little too adventurous for my palate. It's not just about taste, it's about the whole dining experience. I'm talking fermented fish, spicy stews, and dishes with ingredients I can't even pronounce. It can be a bit intimidating. Don't get me wrong, I admire people who are adventurous eaters, but I'm more of a burgers and fries kind of guy. Simple, straightforward, and satisfying. But honestly, the main reason Place 1 just doesn't do it for me is the main reason you wouldn't want to visit this destination. Tie in your personal travel style. It feels too commercialized and lacks the authenticity I seek in my travels. For example, but honestly, the main reason Place 1 just doesn't do it for me is that it seems a bit too predictable. There's no element of surprise. I know that sounds strange, but hear me out. When everything is catered to tourists, it loses its charm. When I travel, I crave the thrill of the unexpected, the excitement of discovering hidden gems, and the challenge of navigating unfamiliar territory. Those moments are priceless. From what I've seen and heard, Place 1 feels a bit too manufactured. It's like everything is set up for show, like it's been designed solely for tourism, and that authenticity I crave just wouldn't be there. I want to experience the real essence of a place. I thrive on those pinch-me moments when you stumble upon a local market, get lost in the back streets, or have a conversation with someone who doesn't speak your language but somehow you understand each other perfectly. Those are the connections that matter. Those are the experiences that make travel so magical for me, and I'm just not sure Place 1 would offer that same sense of adventure and discovery. It's about the journey, not just the destination. Now, I know there are plenty of people out there who absolutely love Place 1, and that's great. More power to you. Everyone has their own preferences. Travel is a personal experience, and what lights one person's fire might be another person's meh. And that's totally okay. There's no judgment here. We all have different tastes, and that's what makes travel so diverse. We're all on our own journeys, exploring the world in our own way. Each of us has unique experiences that shape our travel choices. But for me, Place 1 just doesn't tick those boxes. It doesn't align with what I seek in a travel experience. It's not that I'm closed off to the idea entirely. Maybe someday I'll have a change of heart. Who knows what the future holds? But for now, it's a solid no from me. I'm sticking to my guns on this one. So, there you have it, my number 1 no-go destination. Thanks for listening, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Alright, moving right along to number 2 on my list of places I'll never travel to, and this one might ruffle a few feathers. Get ready for it. It's insert place 2. Yes, you heard that right. Okay, put down the pitchforks. Before you banish me from the travel community, Let me explain. I promise there's a method to my madness. Here's the thing. I'm all about experiencing the heart and soul of a destination, immersing myself in the local culture, and soaking up the authentic vibes. I crave those genuine moments that make travel so enriching. And unfortunately, from everything I've seen and heard, Place 2 has become a victim of its own popularity. It's a classic case of too much of a good thing. It's overrun with tourists, the lines are out the door for every attraction, and you're more likely to hear English spoken than the local language. The sheer volume of people can be overwhelming. Don't get me wrong, I understand the appeal. There's a reason why so many people flock to Place 2. Place 2 is home to some truly iconic landmarks and attractions. These are places that have captured the imaginations of millions. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of seeing? Mention something famous in Place 2 in person. It's a bucket list item for many. But for me, the thought of battling hordes of tourists just to get a glimpse of something I've seen a million times in pictures just doesn't sound like my idea of a good time. The magic gets lost in the crowd. I'm more of a go-with-the-flow, off-the-beaten-path kind of traveler. I seek out the less obvious, the hidden gems that offer a more intimate experience. I'd rather discover a hidden gem tucked away in a quiet neighborhood than wait in line for hours to see something that's been commercialized to death. Those quiet moments are where the real magic happens. I want to experience a place like a local, not a tourist. I want to blend in, not stand out. And then there's the issue of cost. It's a significant factor that can't be ignored. Let's be real, popular tourist destinations know they can get away with charging a premium. And Place 2 is no exception. The prices can be astronomical. From inflated hotel prices to overpriced souvenirs, you're practically guaranteed to drain your bank account just by setting foot in the place. It's a financial drain that can put a damper on the whole experience. And for me, that's just not worth it. I prefer to spend my money wisely, on experiences that offer true value. I'd rather spend my hard-earned money on experiences that are unique and authentic, not mass-produced tourist traps. Those are the memories that last a lifetime. So while I can appreciate the historical and cultural significance of Place 2, the thought of battling crowds, inflated prices, and a manufactured tourist experience just doesn't appeal to me. It's just not my cup of tea. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. Everyone has their own travel preferences. If you love Place 2 and everything it has to offer, more power to you. We all seek different things in our travels. Travel is all about finding what speaks to you, and if that means braving the crowds and the costs, then go for it. Follow your heart and your interests. Now, before we move on to my final no-go destination, I want to hear from you. Your opinions matter. What are your thoughts on Place 2? Have you been there, or is it on your list? Love it or hate it? I want to know where you stand. Let me know in the comments below. Your feedback is always appreciated. And stick around because up next I'm revealing the final destination on my list. And let's just say, this one is personal. You won't want to miss it. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the #1 spot on my list of places I will never travel to goes to Place 3. All right, I know what you're thinking, Place 3. Really, Figo? Out of all the places in the world, you're choosing Place 3. And trust me, this one pains me a little bit to say, because it's not like Place 3 is inherently bad or anything. It's just that let's just say I have a bit of a history with this particular destination. You see, a few years back, I decided to take a spontaneous trip to Place 3. I had heard amazing things mention something that is supposed to be good about Place 3, and I was eager to experience it for myself. I envisioned myself strolling through charming cobblestone streets, sipping cappuccinos in quaint cafes, and soaking up the vibrant culture. But as we all know, sometimes life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. And let me tell you, my trip to Place 3 was a whole series of curveballs, one after another. It all started when I arrived at my hotel, which, let's just say, wasn't exactly as advertised. The website promised a charming boutique hotel with old-world charm. What I got was a dingy room that smelled faintly of mildew, with a window that overlooked a bustling alleyway. And by bustling, I mean there was a constant stream of delivery trucks and honking cars at all hours of the night. But hey, I'm a trooper, right? I wasn't going to let a little thing like a subpar hotel room ruin my trip, so I put on a brave face and headed out to explore the city. That's when things went from bad to worse. Remember those charming cobblestone streets I was so looking forward to strolling through? Well, Let's just say they weren't exactly designed for someone with my grace or lack thereof. I'm pretty sure I tripped over at least a dozen cobblestones, and I might have even face-planted into a gelato stand at one point. Let's just say I wasn't exactly blending in with the locals. And the food? Don't even get me started on the food. Remember how I said I was excited to try the local cuisine? Well, I did try it, and let's just say my stomach is still recovering. Long story short, my trip to Place 3 was a comedy of errors from start to finish. From the moment I landed to the second I left, it felt like the universe was conspiring against me. Every step I took seemed to lead to another mishap, another unexpected twist. It was as if Place 3 had a personal vendetta against me. Despite my best efforts to stay positive and make the most of the situation, it was clear that this trip was destined to be one for the books, for all the wrong reasons. So, while Place 3 might be a dream destination for some, for me, it's a place I won't be returning to anytime soon. Never again. So there you have it, my top 3 no-go destinations. I know, some of you probably think I'm crazy, but hey, to each their own, right? Just because I wouldn't be caught dead in these places doesn't mean you shouldn't add them to your travel list. What about you guys? Are there any places in the world you'd absolutely refuse to visit? Let me know in the comments below. I'm dying to hear your travel horror stories and never again destinations. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more travel tips, destination guides, and maybe even a few more controversial opinions, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Wolter's World for more travel content. Until next time, safe travels everyone.